Are you listening to me? This is life or death! Move your guards now!
Your theatrics
My name is
won't-
Daniel Carter, and up until last year, I never imagined I'd be that guy telling an outrageous HOA horror story to the entire internet. I lived on a quiet piece of land just outside Red Bluff Meadows, a supposedly prestigious rural HOA community that loved advertising its scenic trails, family-friendly events, and top-tier security. Funny thing. All those things get thrown out the window the moment ego gets involved. And my story? It all started the day I needed to save a life. And the HOA decided their rules were more important than someone's survival. It was 6:14 a.m. when my phone rang. I remember because I spilled coffee all over my shirt the moment I saw the name on the screen. Aunt Caroline. She lived 3 hours away in a remote ranching area, and she never called early unless something was wrong. I picked up immediately. "Daniel," she gasped, "it's your uncle." He collapsed. The radio phones went down during the storm. I barely got through. The paramedics can't reach us. The roads washed out. My heart dropped. How bad is it? He's barely responsive. They said we need an emergency heli transport. I didn't think twice. "I'm coming. Stay with him. I'll bring a helicopter." I hung up and was already out the door before the call fully registered. And yes, you heard that right. I knew someone who owned a helicopter. My longtime friend, Tyler, was a private pilot who ran emergency wilderness rescue operations. And because Aunt Caroline lived practically off the grid, he'd flown in there before. Within 20 minutes, I was at the Red Bluff Meadows private airstrip, which, unfortunately, sat inside HOA territory. And that would turn out to be the worst obstacle of all. Tyler pulled the helicopter onto the helipad, blades rotating slow and steady. He leaned out the door. "Got the coordinates. Let's move." But before I could climb in, a shrill voice sliced through the air. "Excuse me. You can't do that." I turned and saw her marching toward us, a tall woman with a clipboard, sunglasses, and the unmistakable expression of someone who believed she ruled the world. Marjorie Lane. HOA president. Self-appointed sheriff of everything. "Daniel Carter," she snapped, "you cannot board that helicopter." I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "This is unauthorized aircraft activity on HOA property." "It's an emergency," I said. "Someone might die." She folded her arms so tightly her knuckles turned white. "Emergencies must be approved 72 hours in advance." I stared at her, dumbfounded. I couldn't believe what she said next. "If you attempt to take off," she continued, "we will issue violations, fines, and temporarily revoke your community privileges." Tyler leaned out. "Ma'am, someone is having a medical emergency. We don't have time for this." She turned on him like a viper. "You are violating community noise ordinances. This aircraft is too loud before 8 a.m. I felt something inside me snap. That's when I knew I had to fight back. But I didn't have time for a full-on battle. Uncle Ben didn't have time. "I'm going," I said firmly. "Fine me. Revoke privileges. I don't care." Marjorie stepped directly in front of the helicopter door. "You are not leaving." And that's when the real nightmare began. Marjorie lifted her walkie-talkie dramatically. "Security, code 4 at the helipad. I need full lockdown." Within minutes, 2 HOA security carts zipped across the field toward us. One officer stood in front of the helicopter. Another blocked the fuel truck behind us. "This is a restricted takeoff," one said. "It's an emergency medical rescue." I yelled. "The rules are clear," Marjorie barked. "No exceptions." Tyler muttered under his breath. "This is insane." Then she said it. "Unless you can provide documentation that someone's life is in danger, we cannot allow unauthorized aircraft movement." I stepped forward. I just told you. That's not documentation. I pulled out my phone to call Aunt Caroline. No signal. Of course. Tyler cursed under his breath. We're wasting time. And at that exact moment, a black SUV pulled up, tinted windows, government plate. The door opened. And my heart stopped. Out stepped a man in a suit. Not just any man. Governor Michael Hart. He was friends with Tyler, they'd collaborated on wildfire rescue programs, and Tyler had picked him up earlier that morning for a meeting in the Capitol. Yes. The governor was already on board the helicopter. He stepped out coolly, looked around at the absurd scene, and asked. Is there a reason your HOA security is blocking a medical evacuation? Marjorie stiffened. Sir, this is private property governed by strict regulations. Noise ordinances. He held up a hand. And she froze like a statue. I reviewed this community last year, he said. Your HOA manual specifically states emergency aircraft are exempt from all noise and access restrictions. Her mouth fell open. Then he turned to the officers. Move your carts. Immediately. They scrambled like ants at a bonfire. But Marjorie wasn't done. Wait. We have protocols. He did not fill out the emergency form. The governor stared at her for a long moment. Ma'am, someone is dying. She swallowed. But, the rules. He stepped closer. I make the rules. And that was that. Security moved. The path cleared. Marjorie stood speechless for the first time in her life. We boarded and the helicopter lifted off in seconds. As we rose above the HOA clubhouse, I caught one glimpse of Marjorie. Red-faced. Shaking. Practically foaming with anger. But I didn't care. My mind was on my uncle. The flight was brutal, turbulence from the storm, low visibility, and downed trees. But Tyler handled it like the pro he was. We landed at the ranch, and Aunt Caroline ran toward us, tears streaking her dusty face. He's inside, she cried. I can't wake him. The governor didn't even hesitate, he helped carry my uncle into the chopper. Tyler took off again, heading straight for the regional trauma center. And thank God. My uncle survived. The doctors said if we had been 20 minutes later, the outcome would have been completely different. 20 minutes. Exactly the time Marjorie wasted. I knew I wasn't letting that slide. 2 weeks later, I attended the special HOA meeting. You better believe the room was packed. Residents had heard what happened. Most were furious. Marjorie sat up front, rigid and trembling, clearly expecting support. Instead, one by one, neighbors stood up and shared horror stories. Times she blocked paramedics. Times she denied emergency contractors. Times she harassed families about noise during actual emergencies. Marjorie tried to defend herself. I was enforcing the rules. But no one wanted to hear it. Then the governor himself entered the room. Yes, he came. Marjorie visibly shrank into her chair. He approached the mic. Let me be very clear, he said. If a neighborhood chooses rules over human life, it is not a community. It is a danger. The room erupted with applause. Marjorie looked like a melting wax figure. Then came the vote. Should Marjorie Lane be removed as HOA president? Hands shot up. Nearly every single one. Marjorie's voice wobbled. You can't remove me. I built this community. But she was already done. Removed. Relieved of duty. And permanently banned from interfering with emergency operations. Not long after, she sold her house and left the state. The new HOA board immediately rewrote the guidelines. Emergency flights allowed anytime. No interference. No bureaucracy. No power-hungry nonsense. And here's the best part. The community named the updated guidelines after my uncle. The Ben Carter Emergency Protection Act. A small honor. But it meant everything. Sometimes the people who scream the loudest about rules are the ones who understand compassion the least. But rules don't save lives. People do. Stand your ground. Know your rights. And don't let anyone, especially an HOA tyrant, stop you from doing what's right. Because at the end of the day, humanity beats authority. Every single time.